unto this beast, that the image of the beast should speak, and both that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Sounds like a pretty scary time. If you don't believe the way they believe and you don't do what they do, you're going to be killed. And he causes all, both, not some, all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save that he has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, this is where the dead giveaway is. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. Now that's the dead giveaway. Here's wisdom. It's a man. Now this morning, while I was on social media, I came across an interesting video where a man was describing the tephilim, the tefillin. It is a leathery box that goes on the hand and a leathery box that goes on the head. This is something that Moses commanded in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6. It says, tie them as reminders on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. And you see in this video, the man putting it on, and he's explaining how it contains, these boxes contains the scroll, the Torah of Moses. But that's not exactly what Deuteronomy says. Let me read this to you. And this is written by Moses, of course. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do this, that it may be well with you, that you may increase mightily, as the Lord God of your fathers has promised you in the land flowing with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord God is one. And this is where it commands you to wear this. Hear this. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. Remember, Jesus reminded us that. He said, what are the commands? What do you got to worry about? You got to love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might. And you love others as yourself, Jesus said. That's what is supposed to be written on your foreheads and on your hands. But that's not really what the passage says. The passage reads, and these words, which I command you this day, shall be in your heart.
Hey man, these are these guys that you got to watch, these slicksters, slick with the tongue, these slick speakers. You know, there's a lot of these guys like this, man. Beware of this guy, man. This guy's a clown. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Harakakadash, double honors to the apostles of the great millstone who rule well and teach well. And this guy's going to butcher the scriptures talking about that the mark of the beast is the works that you do with your hands. And that's just simply incorrect. And even the comment board is saying, look, I disagree. I believe someday we will have to have a chip in right hand or forehead as digital currency to buy or sell. Okay, then another person said as well, no removable chip. He said, no, removable chip is coming. It says injectable biometrics were in the COVID shot. Okay, I'll say no removable chip is coming. Injectable. I'm not sure if he agrees or disagrees or what he's trying to say, but because he's saying it in his fashion that says, first off, no, like this in a disagreement, or he's trying to align with this guy's ideology. There we go. Here, somebody said, but a spiritual thing doesn't show as a mark, and not having the mark of the devil stops people from buying food. So how would it work, Jacob? Yeah, he's got no answers. He don't got no goddamn answers. He don't got no answers, all right?
Names in your memory that you will love, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto your children. To what? Teach your children to love God with all your heart, all your might, and God is love.
Yeah, love him how? The love is to keep the commandments. You're supposed to teach the commandments to your family. This guy's way off. You know, just, you got to love everyone, son. You got to love everyone. That's not what the Lord is talking about, man. The guy's a clown.
And you shall talk of them when you sit down in your house and when you walk by the way and when you lie down and when you rise up. Constant communication with God. Constantly remembering to love God with all your heart, to subject yourself unto the power of God. And you shall bind them for a sign on your hand and on your forehead. You see these men, and they'll put on this little goofy gimmick, this little thing on their hands that they wrap up with the leather strap, and then this thing on the forehead. Here we see the connection to the mark of the beast in the book of Revelation.
There is no connection to the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation and the word mark is charagma. Charagma, which means etching or engraving or a scratch. And if you look at the word korax, from which it stems from, it says a stake or pale pierced. Okay? So one logically would put together that the word charagma would imply an etching or engraving to pierce beneath the surface in your hand or in your forehead. Okay? And the only logical explanation to be able to pay for food or buy or sell goods would be the exchange through which is called RFID. All right? So that's enough on this guy. Now we're going to go to this video right here and show you that this is actually happening, okay? Here we go.
There.
CEO Todd Westby is back with us to talk about how the program is going so far. So Todd, what's it been like? How many of your employees at this point have chosen to have the chip implanted, and how many do you have to go?
Yes, to date, we have 196 employees, and 92 of them are chipped to this day.
And what's it been like in terms of their experience? Has anybody said, I want this thing out of me, or when they leave, do they have to get it out?
We've had one employee that's left that had it removed. However, the vast majority of our employees absolutely love the conveniences that having this chip in their hand really brings to them.
I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, Todd, but why not a badge? Why do you have to implant a piece of equipment into people?
If it can be lost, it will be lost. And the very first day that I had this done, I actually had a late night interview, and I forgot my ID card, and I thought, I got a chip in my hand. And when I showed up at work, I scanned my hand and I was let in the front door. So it's really a huge convenience factor that the employees seem to like with it.
It's very small. I've got a grain of rice in my hand, which I'm told approximates the size of these chips. So I kind of get that. But, you know, we all carry around our phones these days. We don't really lose those too often. Why not just have people use their phone for this kind of thing?
Because this is much more convenient. You can do a lot more really with this than you can your phone, as far as I can log into my computer with this, which I do every day. I can log into my phone with it. I can pay for items if I forgot my credit card or my phone. I can log into work. This is the actual size of the chip. I don't know if you can see that, but it is the size of a grain of rice, literally.
Yeah, I actually went with the actual grain of rice here, but
we're going to shove it into David's wrist.
Looks roughly the same. I just wonder, you haven't gotten any pushback at all on this, Todd, at this point? I mean, people are happy to have this. Are they afraid you're tracking them beyond work?
No, we have had, some normal pushback, which comes with anything you do. However, what we've really done with this, I think, is you see a lot of discussion now about implants and how they can, take your heartbeat, get your blood glucose levels. You see Amazon just hiring a top-notch doctor. You see Walmart filing for patents on this. What we've really done is sort of made it acceptable, or brought it in the forefront where people are now talking about it and looking at the benefits that it can do for a person.
So do you have sort of this objective to expand the capabilities or services attached to this, or to kind of market this as a product, or is it really just kind of adding convenience for people there?
We did this, honestly, initially just for fun, because that's what a technology company does. And often when you start with something, you end with something completely different. And that's the case here. We started with a simple little chip, and now it's evolved into a whole nother business. which we're in development right now of an actual chip that will be powered by the human body, the heat, and it'll have GPS tracking capabilities along with voice recognition.
You heard that? GPS tracking capabilities. That's ultimately Esau's goal, man, okay? To GPS track everybody, where they are, what they buy. You know, this is what Catherine Albright has been talking about for years, okay? We're talking like over 25 years, this lady, all right?
Futuristic film, humans injected with a tiny chip holding the key to all of their private information.
But as you're about to see in our CBS 46 investigation, it's not fiction. In fact, it's being marketed in Georgia as life-saving technology. So why do some experts say it's potentially deadly? CBS 46's Kim Fedek investigates.
It's used in key cards, prepaid tolls, even checked luggage. It's called RFID technology, or radio frequency identification. Small chips that store information.
So here's the chip.
And now that same technology is literally available in the flesh, with chips injected right into people's arms.
It says it burns a little bit. That's about it.
Atlanta firefighter John Santola was injected with the chip about the size of a grain of rice. When scanned, the number on the chip is linked to a database with Santola's medical history.
I think it will help me in case of an emergency.
Santola was chipped when Florida-based VeriChip Corporation set up a booth at an Atlanta firefighter conference. They market the chip primarily for safety reasons, storing medical information for first responders, Alzheimer's patients, even children.
And it is the only product that has been approved by the FDA for this specific purpose.
The FDA...
You see that? FDA approved, man. Okay? This is something to be cautious of, and that's why this lady was so passionate about this, man, which I believe her to be a Jake.
Approved the use of chips in humans in 2004, but since then it's caused quite a bit of controversy with some consumer groups, concerned about privacy, even health concerns.
These are very powerful tools, especially if they fall in the hands of somebody with political ambitions.
One of the loudest voices of opposition is right here in the Boston area, a Harvard doctor and author of spy chips.
These technologies will not make us safer. I think they'll make us sitting ducks for Big Brother.
Dr. Catherine Albrecht also compiled 16 years of studies she says prove the chip can cause cancerous tumors.
It's clear as day that these...
Now, this lady, you may not think she's a Jake because of the way that she looks, but let me tell you something. She's been doing this for, like I said, almost 20 years. And she got to the point where she had to sleep with a gun because she was scared that somebody was going to kill her for revealing this truth, but she kept going. That's the type of zeal that, you know what I'm saying, only somebody of the Lord, ultimately, should I say, the people of the Lord would have. And Esau ain't going to do that shit. They're not going to fight against the power that hard. Hell no.
Tumors were not only malignant, but they metastasized. They spread to the lungs, the liver, the thymus, the brain.
These pictures show the tumors growing around the actual chip in the mice and rats.
Certainly the company, I mean, they've done, I think, a tremendous job of keeping that information under wraps for the last several years.
We sat down with the chief medical officer of VeriChip and asked about the link to cancer in mice.
Yeah, I am not aware. I mean, I would have to take a look at what's.
He isn't even taking a look. You know, these guys are fucking devils, man. Now look at this shit in Sweden, brothers. This is crazy.
Huge significance.
So you're officially part machine. How does it feel?
This is awesome. How cool is that? Good job.
Do you think in a few years' time, in a decade perhaps, we'll all have things like this?
Yes, of course. I really do think.
For around £130, anyone can get a tiny microchip like this inserted just beneath the skin in their hands.
That's Corox, okay? Scratch, etching, engraving, stake, pale. Let's prove it. Let's prove it, man. Because I did this video already last night, but my technology didn't save it for some goddamn reason. Some bullshit, man. It was 40 minutes long, too, man. Some straight bullshit, man. All right, let's go to Revelation 13, verse number 16. It says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." Okay? So it says right here, the word that we're looking for is Mark. Okay?
Strong's G 5480. Charagma. Charagma.
Okay? Charagma. Charagma. So you got there a stamp imprinted, an imprinted mark, and also going down here to Strong's definition, a scratch or etching. Okay, when you etch your name in stone, you have to scratch beneath the surface. And now from the same as G582 or G5482, Karax, a pale or stake or a palisade, a rampart. Okay, look at this. Strong's definition. Karazo, to sharpen to a point akin to G11 25 through the idea of scratching a stake, palisade, or rampart. Okay, there you have it. Okay? To sharpen to a point. And to do what? To inject the microchip as you see right here. Okay?
I can't help feeling a bit squeamish about it, but maybe I'm just behind the times.
See, it's, yeah, of course, because, you know, in the last days, man, you know, perilous times shall come. And that's why as we advance, these prophecies are coming to pass. It's just part of the Lord's way. There's nothing you can do to stop it.
It's the morning after, and I'm about to catch up with Felicia and her dad Magnus as they get to grips with their new existence.
So when you woke up this morning, was it the first thing that came to your mind? How did you feel?
I felt a little bit strange because now I'm a cyborg and it feels pretty cool.
The chips in their hands use near-field communication, the same technology that allows you to pay with a contactless credit card. They can be read by a device like a smartphone.
I mean, if you can't see that that's the mark of the beast, you're a stupid ass. And that's why the Lord's going to destroy you, okay? He's going to do away with you because he don't need you. If you're that dumb that you can't figure that out when somebody's telling you what it is and breaking it down through the words, Karax, Charagma, Charax, okay? You're a stupid dummy. That's it. And you can't see that this is all laid out here? RFID technology, buying and selling with a microchip. You can't tell? You're that stupid?
So here I've stored my business card on my phone with my details, phone number, email address, other stuff, blood group even.
So what's the benefit of that?
When I get customers or suppliers at work, they ask for my business card and I say, scan me.
Aren't there risks involved in that as well? Couldn't somebody pass you by and take all that
Scan me.
information?
Yes. It is in theory possible, but you have to be really, really close. But the main thing I think is that I choose myself what I want to store on this chip.
The people I've met so far don't seem to have any concerns about blurring the lines between man and machine.
Of course not, because they're goddamn blind, okay?
All right. Get everything opened up.
You can't see that there, a rampart, palisade right there?
Here. And then we'll start the procedure.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to use that to do it, man.
And for the record, in terms of a pain scale, if you can compare it to something.
Probably more like a bee sting.
The latest office innovation is a microchip implanted in the skin.
This is the first American company to ever try this.
So what are they tracking, and would you say yes if your boss asked you to do the same?
So if my employer wanted to microchip me as if I was their puppy, I would have a huge problem with it, and I would probably quit.
You could argue that the government is tracking you everywhere you go, but they are already with your phones.
Yeah, it just seems a bit permanent. If you already have an Apple Watch that's you're wearing around, at least you can take that off at some point. That's something I would do.
I think it's a great idea, and I think it would make it all a lot easier. I just think that you have to back it up with maybe some doctors saying it's good for your health, and then I think I would do it.
3 Square Market is a company working on one of the biotech advances at the forefront, implantable RFID or radio frequency ID microchips. The tech has been around for decades, used to track pets, packages, and livestock, But now the Wisconsin-based company is trying to make the implants mainstream. Even with all the risks and unknowns associated with this technology, I was really curious what it'd be like to have an implant. So I traveled to Wisconsin to get chipped, thinking, what's the worst that could happen? The chip is coming out at the end of the day.
And the RFID chip is already inside there.
Yes.
And it's a little bit larger than a grain of rice.
Correct.
Jasmine rice, I think.
Basmati.
That's Andy Whitehead, better known as Gonzo. He's a local body piercer with 17 years of experience who was brought in to implant the microchips. I was slightly nervous about having the microchip inserted inside my body, given the size of the needle, and also nervous about what it could potentially mean for me, but here we go.
Yep. So that's the mark of the beast right there. All right. And it's going to be introduced under the guise of safety and convenience. All right. So potentially, who knows what may happen to occur to spark the interest in everybody. But it's going to be mandated, pretty much. And if you don't do it, then you're just not going to be able to buy and sell. That's just how it's going to go. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? So all those who are going to resist it, in that day, we're going to find out what it is. Okay? So, hey, Lord willing, this was edifying. I don't want to make the video too long because they're just going to cut it off and not save it onto my goddamn phone. So with that, shalom to the hopeful elect, man. On to the next one. I might do a part 2.